not only how to make the content, but what type of content to make, and really importantly, the unbiased content. So, I mean, that's by building that unbiased content, you can help build more trust and loyalty with the consumer base because they know you're not feeding them um, just some kind of sales message. You're really just there to help and build a relationship, build a rapport via the content we're producing.
This is Social Pulse Podcast Retail Edition, your go-to guide to solving your biggest retail social media marketing challenges authentically. I'm your host, Mike Alden, and each episode is an honest and frank look at what marketers go through, from awful algorithms to terrific trends and ideas that you can apply to your own business. And now, the rest of today's episode. Welcome back to Social Pulse Podcast Retail Edition, where we're digging into the challenges, successes, and the stories of social media and community professionals in the industry just like you. Subscribe to gain valuable insights that you'll be able to apply to your own work and social presence from each and every episode. I'm wondering, are you struggling to build genuine connections with your retail customers in an increasingly digital world? You're tired of running endless promotional campaigns that seem to fall flat? You're not the only one feeling frustrated. Many retailers find themselves stuck in the cycle of discount driven marketing, wondering if there's a better way to attract and engage customers. But what if there was a strategy that could not only triple your web traffic, but also build lasting customer relationships before they even walk through your doors? That's exactly what our guest Craig Daniels achieved as marketing director at Furniture Fair. Taking the helm in January 2020, Craig transformed their marketing approach from traditional promotional advertising to a trust-based content strategy that has revolutionized their customer relationships. Under his leadership, Furniture Fair has become a trusted voice in the furniture industry, producing multiple pieces of educational content weekly and seeing organic traffic grow from 20 to 40% of their total website visitors. His innovative approach to blending educational content with relationship-based selling has not only improved traffic, but also increased average order values and customer satisfaction. Hey, Craig, welcome to the show.
What's going on, Mike? Thanks for having me.
So glad you could be here. I'm excited for this conversation. It's one of my favorite topics. I'm wondering if you could start by just kind of taking us back to January 2020 when you took over as marketing director. What was Furniture Fair's marketing strategy like back then before this transformation?
So in 2020, it was one heck of a year for me to take over the marketing director job here at Furniture Fair. But it was exciting because we had a lot of an opportunity to improve. And what we were doing prior was traditional advertising, your print pieces in the newspaper, TV, broadcast cable, radio, and some direct mail. So we kind of just wanted to dive into more of the digital space because obviously that's where a lot of advertising is going and that's where a lot of eyeballs are going, more importantly.
Got it. Got it. So, what prompted the shift from what we would say, traditional promotional marketing into this educational content approach?
So in January of 2020, a few executives and myself, we were at a furniture conference in Las Vegas and had the privilege of listening to Marcus Sheridan speak about his book, They Ask You Answer. And honestly, from the moment of meeting him and getting to know him a little more, content marketing just made sense. It allowed us to do so many things, whether it was build the content on our website, educate our customers, or just educate our salespeople in general. We were really excited about what content could do for us.
I'm trying to recall. I had the pleasure of meeting Marcus. Gosh, probably 2015, I think, was the first time. That was Content Marketing World up in Cleveland, just north of you guys, and got to was blessed to meet him several other times. He was actually a judge of a contest from that my blog was in I think 2017 or 2018. So I've followed him. His teachings are fantastic. They Ask You Answer is an incredible methodology. Kind of walk us through how you implemented that. What were some of the first steps that you guys took?
The first steps were reading his book. His book was inspirational, I think, to say the least. His examples with Yale appliances out on the East Coast was really what um, got me more and more interested in it because they are Yale appliances. For those of you who don't know, they're a family owned and operated business similar to us, and they're a retailer selling appliances. which is somewhat similar to furniture as far as price points go. But I saw them go from 100% traditional advertising to, I can't remember what the last number they said, but less than 20% traditional advertising, and utilizing content to bolster who they are, their branding aspect, and building trust with the consumer. Because to us, relationship based selling is who we are. And if we could add relationship selling elements into our marketing, that just seemed to be a home run for us. And I'm glad we got the chance to know Marcus. Even though, if you meet him, you'll never see the guy frown. I've never not seen Marcus smile. He's always upbeat, energetic, and a blast to talk to.
And I think it's important for folks listening, if you're not familiar, the tenet of they ask you answers that you're answering the questions that your target prospects are asking at the middle or the bottom of the funnel. You're not talking about high level stuff that's most people would consider top of funnel content. You're really trying to hone in on what is it that your buyers are actually wondering that's stopping them from pulling the trigger and making that buying decision. So the great example that I love from Yale Appliance was how they were talking about the the worst appliance manufacturers, the ones that are going to fail the most, because in addition to selling appliances, they also service to them. So they knew which appliances they were serving the most. And their content probably wasn't very popular with the actual appliance manufacturers because it didn't really paint them in the best light, but it was amazing for the target customers. Because just imagine if you're going out there and you're trying to buy a new refrigerator for your home, you don't want to buy the one that's going to have to be serviced the most. You'd want to lean towards the ones that are serviced the least, but there wasn't a lot of content out there that would tell you something like that back then. So they're providing that kind of content. You guys were creating what, 2 to 3 articles, a couple of videos every single week,
Hmm.
if I'm
Yeah,
understanding
two to
correctly. How
three
did you
articles a week.
build Yeah, so how did you build and organize a team to maintain that kind of production schedule?
So that was the fun part, honestly, getting back from Vegas and signing off with Marcus and his team over at Impact, of just figuring out, okay, what are the next steps? And from there, we got to interview a bunch of amazing videographers, and then also as well as some writers. So we brought a writer in internally, believe it or not. He was a graphic designer for us for a few years and said, I also love to write. And, he built some stuff for us and we loved it. And then from the videographer standpoint, I feel like that was a home run in and of itself, not only for the content aspect, um, for consumer facing, but also internally. We're capturing philanthropic events that we're a part of. We're capturing internal training. Um, just as we all know, video is king for the time being before AI, changes everything about that. But just to have someone on staff to capture every single moment uh, was great. And so when we added those two team members, we worked with the consultants over at Impact. They helped teach us not only how to make the content, but what type of content to make, and really importantly, the unbiased content. So I mean, that's by building that unbiased content, you can help build more trust and loyalty with the consumer base because they know you're not feeding them um, just some kind of sales message. You're really just there to help and build a relationship, build a rapport via the content we're producing.
Got it. So you've got the methodology, you've built the team. I shared an example a moment ago of the kind of content Yale Appliance was creating. Could you give us an example of the kind of content that you were creating and how that influenced one of your customers' journeys from research to purchase?
Yeah, one of my favorite types of content that we're creating right now is brand reviews. And let's take Smith Brothers um, for an example. They're up in Bern, Indiana. They're a made in USA, fully um, manufactured, um, customized to every detail of your piece, and it just allows us to showcase their brand and all of the benefits and features that they have to offer. Normally, they're anywhere from a $2,000 to $10,000 sofa, and by having these content elements to really showcase why they are the price that they are, it helps people get over that price hurdle. Um, and to that point, that's what content allows us to do. It allows us to showcase our merchandise in a way that is digestible and for the consumer to understand what is best for their needs and their pocketbooks.
That's a big deal because whether you are looking at an e-commerce catalog online or even walking through a storefront, if you're not having that kind of information exchange as a consumer, you don't know why one couch costs more than another couch. Typically, we don't have that kind of education. If I'm not in the business, to me, a couch is a couch, and I'm really focused on the color and the style and the aesthetic. Will this look good in my home? And wow, this one's three times as much as the other one. Why would that be? Now, if I'm watching a video that's helping me understand the craftsmanship and the care and any other factors that go into that price, that makes a lot of sense. Folks, we're talking with Craig Daniels about how a focused approach to content marketing can yield incredible results, just as having the right tools and processes can revolutionize your social media marketing.
When I take a look at the biggest core benefit for Agorapulse, I have to look at two sides of the equation. I have to look at what it does for us as far as managing our community and all of the conversation management tools, which I appreciate so much. But from a far more pragmatic point of view, it saves us money. It saves us a lot of money because of the productivity the features that are built in with how it manages those conversations. We don't waste time. We're efficient.
Agorapulse allows me to get through all my messages and my replies really quickly. That's probably the number one reason for me wanting to use the tool. It saves so much time.
A big draw for me with Agorapulse was the ability to manage my YouTube comments. That is a huge feature for me, and here's why. Because up until then, I basically would have to go into my social media manager system to do everything there, and then I'd have to log out, go back into YouTube, and do the same thing there. Now, when you are managing multiple clients, this becomes a huge waste of time, right? And what we want to do is streamline that efficiency. So we can log into one website now. We can manage all of our major social profiles there, and we're able to serve our clients with more clarity and purpose.
They worked with us, they helped train us on how to get everything up and going, and we were able to cancel out all the other tools that we didn't need anymore. So it saved us a lot of time and a lot of headache for my team members, as they're, now they only have one tool that they can maximize their clients in.
So, Craig, having that kind of content on your website is fantastic if it's coming up in Google search or you're even putting it in ad campaigns or social media campaigns and you're actively driving content to it. But what about sales? Did you get your sales team to actively use and embrace this kind of content?
Yeah, so we adopted a philosophy called assignment selling, which we're basically taking our salespeople and using them as teachers for our customers. They're sending content before, during the process, and after the sale of just content that is relevant to the consumer. So, for instance, if let's say they went ahead and they wanted to set an appointment to come in and visit one of our showrooms, we're sending them some content of everything you should know before starting your buying journey, whether that's measuring the rooms, understanding the colors, who's going into that room, or do you have pets? And then post purchase, where we've got content such as how to maintain the furniture you just bought, how to, what is next in your buying journey. So if you bought a mattress, maybe an adjustable bed base, if if you snore a lot, might be an investment worth making down the road. So that's been a huge plus for us, and the fact that our software engineer and our couple of our staff members were able to build some attribution reporting has been a godsend for understanding the successes, the ROI of this whole program.
That's really fascinating. I don't know that I've ever heard of a retail environment doing that before. So you're sending content to the customers before they even, come into an in-store experience?
Yeah. So, and it's primarily obviously happening if we have their information. So, if they're a past
Right.
customer that we're re-engaging with, or if they come to our website and they go ahead and organically set up an appointment at our showroom. But that's the important part of assignment selling, of just getting them more prepared before they walk through that door. Traditionally, you know, when buyers walk through that retail brick and mortar space, they're, I don't know, 50 to 75% already there in the buying journey. But if we can educate them prior to that, when they walk through that door, they can be 80 to 90% of the
Mm.
way ready to buy. And so, really, all the salesperson then at that point has to do is guide them to what is best for them because they're walking in, understanding some of the terminology, maybe, or just understanding their needs a little more. And that's vital.
That is fascinating to me. Just like Marcus, my retail experience was selling swimming pools. I was in Ohio, he was over in Virginia, if I recall correctly. But this was, let's just say, a couple decades ago. And so this is pre having this kind of content even dreamt of. So I was happy to have people walk in the store because if they walked in, then they were interested in buying a pool. But there was never an opportunity for me to do any kind of pre-selling, pre-education, pre-anything. It was, hey, they're here. Let me take this opportunity as best I can. So I'm wondering, as these folks are now coming to your website more, are there specific metrics that you're tracking that are helping you identify what's successful beyond just website traffic?
Yeah, so metrics and ROI is what makes this thing continue. We built a team when this first started called a revenue team, and we tried to pull from every aspect of who this affects. So we pulled our sales director, our training director, obviously the marketing director, our website manager, as well as someone from merchandising. And so we pulled all of us together and we're like, okay, what are the most important metrics? And how do we need to keep what that we need to keep track of. So we came down, narrowed it down to about a list of 35 different metrics that each of us are responsible for a handful of them each. And it's really helped us keep on track and understand where are we improving, where do we need some more work and improvement on. And we're monitoring that weekly and then meeting monthly to just kind of understand direction of this program as well as just where we can improve. But I mean, we're tracking things like sales attribution, obviously web traffic, um, website leads, um, videos, content created, online sales orders, average click through rate, average position rank on Google. Um, so just to give you a kind of an idea of where our heads are at when we're measuring the success for this program.
And where are you getting ideas of what kind of content to create?
A lot of that's coming from our customers or our salespeople. Our salespeople are the best resource we can use because they're our frontline soldiers, so to speak. I mean, they're the ones interacting with our customers on a day to day basis. So we meet with our sales management team once a month to just kind of go over what are you guys hearing, and then also showcase sharing our wins. Some of our content wins. Here's some of the stuff that's getting the most views. Here's some of the stuff that's getting the most attribution, and it's really a team effort between sales and marketing.
That's fantastic. Love hearing that. I love, in fact, that you put them all within that revenue team organizational structure. That is really smart. My last question for you, Craig, I'm just wondering, are there any resources or tools that have been particularly helpful to you as you've maintained and even improved this content strategy?
I would say some of the most helpful things have been obviously besides the platforms that we're pushing this content, like social media, our website. Um, it's tools like SEMrush where we're able to monitor website score. It's Google Analytics so we can understand which pages and which content is getting the most views, and it's some of our internal dashboards where we're just um, measuring attribution after content's been sent. But all of those have really helped us measure and improve what we're doing here.
I love this. And this is such an important concept. I know most of the folks listening are social media managers, and you guys might be thinking to yourselves, I don't have anything to do with content. And that might be true. But if you can work with your content team and your sales team to develop this kind of content, that's going to help fuel all of your activities because the content that's being published to the blog is stuff that you can be sharing and repurposing for social media. And I guarantee you the folks following you on social have the same questions as everybody else that they're talking to through the rest of your content. So, Craig, this has been really helpful. I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing what your experience has been, learning from Marcus and implementing his teachings. For folks who've got more questions for you, or maybe they want to reach out and connect, where should they go?
Yeah, please email me directly. It's at cdaniels@furniturefair.net, and that's CDANIELS at furniturefair.net. And would love to talk shop.
Awesome. Thank you, Craig. Thanks all of you for watching and listening today. That's all the time we've got for today. But of course, we'll have all the links in the show notes as always. And don't forget to find the Social Pulse Podcast Retail Edition on Apple and drop me a review. I'd love to know what you thought of this episode and what kinds of topics you'd like us to cover next time. Till then. Thank you for listening to another episode of Social Pulse Podcast Retail Edition, hosted by Mike Alton and powered by AgoraPulse, the #1 rated social media management solution, which you can learn more about at agorapulse.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast player and be sure to leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us.